Good morning, CUBE community, and welcome back to beautiful Barcelona, Spain. We're here kicking off day 3 of our 4 days of live coverage on theCUBE. My name's Savannah Peterson, here in the cockpit with Dave Vellante. We were just high-fiving, we're so pumped up for today.
I feel good today.
You look good today.
Yeah, thank you.
I can tell you.
Yeah,
Thank you. We got our spring shades on.
I'm still awake, I still got my voice, sort of.
I know, I was actually shocked about the voice thing. I was thinking about that. You and I have been really good about hydrating.
Yes, we have.
Which has been absolutely
Good
critical. I can't think of a better way to start off the day than with our first 2 guests. David and Phil, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Excited about it.
I know you've had a very busy week. You've been making the rounds. You've been doing a lot of talks together. You've got a really great partnership. David, I want to open up with you because you said something really fun while we were chatting before we went live. You said that you are enabling the AI mirage. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we're at Zayo. We're the largest broadband provider, independent in the United States, and we're looking at 2 things. Our largest customers are the hyperscalers and the telcos and the satellite companies across the US and Western Europe. And so when we're looking at this, everybody's talking AI, they talk around compute. And everyone's talking about NVIDIA and the servers. They're also talking about, well, the real constraint's power. And then that's also determining where those AI data centers are going to.
Yeah.
And they're going to be built. And then the other piece that nobody's talking about is connectivity. And that's our world. Our world's connectivity. And we're bringing fiber to all those locations. And what's different, even in some of the big telco players, is we're more bespoke in the sense we'll build directly to those data centers. So we're catching the AI, that AI windfall or wave that's coming from all those hyperscalers and telcos as they're building out those data centers. So what nobody's talking about is that connectivity point. And
you're absolutely right. We haven't had this conversation very much, and we've had literally thousands of conversations about this. So no, I think, so let's hang out there just for a second, because now I've got you, and Phil, don't worry, I'm not going to forget about you.
I know.
Why do you think people aren't talking about connectivity or thinking about it?
I think they take it for granted.
I think that's right.
It's assumed that connectivity is going to be there.
Yeah,
right?
Like some magical thing, like we haven't, like we've solved that problem forever now indefinitely, and even though we're doing different workloads,
you just go like, oh well, we just have it. But just think about where we're having to put the data centers. They're in remote locations. They're in Nevada. They're in Idaho. They're in West Texas, and a lot of people don't want to invest, taking fiber to those locations.
Right.
But that's actually what we do.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the right time, right location, and we can extend that out to them. And we're seeing the headwinds. We've signed billions of dollars of deals in our funnel and with all those hyperscalers and telcos.
You mean you're seeing the tailwinds?
I'm sorry?
You're saying the headwinds or the tailwinds?
Well, I'm sorry, the tailwinds. I'm sorry, good correction.
That doesn't sound like a lot of
headwinds. $1 billion headwinds.
It sounds like you're taking off like a rocket ship.
Yeah, we're taking advantage of it, taking advantage of that tailwind.
Yeah.
And so between the big 3 hyperscalers and Meta, our estimate is they're spending about $332 billion this year. I mean, it's
That's
insane.
A serious
$332 billion
amount of capital.
Now, some of that goes to Amazon warehouses,
right,
but most of it is going to data centers.
Yeah.
So of that $332 billion, like, what percent of that is sort of that connectivity piece that you're talking about? Is it single digits? Or is it? Is it even bigger than that?
I can't tell you exactly, but it's more than you probably think. It's more than you probably think. I mean, power and compute are going to be the lion's share of it. However, I can tell you that there's hundreds of millions of dollars of deals that are coming in the doors at once. Here's the way to think of it. Before, because they've been our customers a long time, they'd be ordering 100 strands of fiber at a time. Now they're ordering tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands at a time. So the order of magnitude is 10 to 20x.
And the telcos add to that $332 billion.
Absolutely.
Not to that scale, but they spend a lot on CapEx as well.
They do too. Yeah.
I don't think it doubles that number, but it probably goes up to $400 billion when you add those guys in.
Yeah.
It's
massive.
It's crazy.
So Phil,
yeah,
we were just talking it was 3 years ago, you guys were just getting in to the telco space, Snowflake, and you said that seems like a long time ago.
It does.
So, yeah, and you said something that was interesting. You said, no longer we thought of as just the data company.
Yeah.
You know, the customers now know we understand telco. So explain the journey that you guys have been on.
Absolutely, and it's a great question. It does seem, it seems like yesterday, but also we've been doing a lot of work in that time, and so there's just been a consistent role of new capabilities, right? So we brought AI in with the Neva acquisition. Our new CEO came from that acquisition. We've started building on to that, working on multi-agent frameworks now. We started really focused on ad tech, martech, finance, compliance, and when we brought Telecom, when we launched Telecom here at MWC, we knew that the focus would now be on things like telecom services and network operations. I didn't exactly know how fast that would happen, and it's amazing the speed at which not only we've brought out capabilities for telecom, but the speed at which our customers and partners are working with us on transformation. And I think that's been amazing to see. So now last year we're focusing a lot on network operations, for instance, and then with Gen AI, accessibility, right? So using Gen AI to help operators interact with data in a much more meaningful way. Now we're focusing on multi-agent frameworks where you're looking cross-domain, and just the speed at which this has all happened has been absolutely amazing. I'm thinking 2 years in the future and wondering where we're going to be. It's going to be wild.
And you're talking about speed in an industry that is not historically known
Exactly,
for being the fastest industry
Yes.
on the planet. Do you feel like the attention that AI has gotten has accelerated that desire to innovate, and from your experience?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you're seeing it a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you could wave a magic wand, what would you tell your potential customers or community to dispel the biggest myth around that? I know you've got some hot takes on what's going on.
On what specifically?
Just surrounding AI, right? Everyone gets excited. I want to go spend my money.
Yeah, I have something to say about this.
I know you do.
Because I believe it. So, for probably the first year and a quarter, I was known as Mr. No around Zayo, around AI. Because our chairman, our CEO came to me like second day, goes, "What are you doing to AI?" I said, "Nothing. I'm not doing anything with AI." And he kind of looks at me and goes, "Well, what are you talking about?" And I said, "It's not no never, it's no now." And what I mean by that is we were built up through 49 acquisitions, and we had no strategy on the architecture, no on data.
Wow.
So I said we had to first build the foundational capabilities and the governance around that. And then once I get the gold data sets, and that's where we're at, we'll go all through that. That's where we point the AI capabilities to, and that's where we're partnering with Snowflake to help us do that.
Yeah.
So we're at that point now where we're using all our AI capabilities and start applying it to all of our partners and vendors that we're working with, so then we can accelerate. And another unique thing different than for us than some of our larger competitors in the telecom space is that a lot of theirs is to cut things. Ours is, we're in a unique position because we need to go hire 300 to 500 people. But we don't want to hire 300 to 500 people. We want to hire 30 to 50 and use AI and technology to make them feel like 300 to 500 people. And so we can extend those capabilities out. And frankly, not just because Snowflake's here, is Snowflake's our key partner in establishing that governance and that foundational gold data set, so then we can go and accelerate into that. And
which
that's
is critical. I mean, it's table stakes.
Which is critical, and that's also something that's overlooked. And you think about all the AI hype, and everyone goes AI, and we're going like, it means nothing unless you can have it pointing to high quality data in a location that you can then take advantage of.
So I like the answer to your CEO because it was kind of controversial, but I also could put a different spin on it, because you could have said, I'll tell you what I'm doing the most important thing for AI, which is I'm harmonizing our data and consolidating all these stovepipes, because that's the first step before I apply AI, and that's exactly what everybody should be doing. Otherwise, it's a waste of time.
I followed on. I wanted to have a little bit of the shock factor.
It was great.
So it got his attention, and it allowed it. Now the other thing that people are missing here too, we were talking about this yesterday, is along with doing that foundational stuff, I came from a place where I had to monetize things very quickly. So I initiated what's called data and AI quick strikes. So I've been using for the last 2 years, a small team, it's 4 or 5 people, that we said, we're going to focus on the biggest problems we have, operationally, data, churn, revenue, whatever it may be. And
biggest problems everybody has, pretty much.
Yes,
frankly.
right.
Yeah.
And
they're
say,
big problems.
Yeah.
how can we save money? How can we save money? And so I would start and say, I'd have to go up to the board every month and tell them what we're doing. And then I'd turn around and go, I'm doing this and this, and you get a little glazed eyes, and you go, but I saved $3 million this month. And they go, oh, okay. And it makes it a lot easier.
Listening. Yeah.
And now it makes it a lot easier to say, I'm going to have to continue to invest to build those foundations.
So can we unpack that business case for a second? You mentioned 4 things: operational, data, churn, and revenue. And I want to understand how they contribute to monetization. Operational means you're more efficient, so you're saving money.
Right.
Data, obviously you're preparing for AI.
Yeah.
Is there a revenue generation piece there, or is that the churn piece? Those are related.
It's both. So our biggest challenges were a lot of operational aspects of it. First one I did was churn, because it's the easiest.
Okay.
And I just said, I'm going to unleash one data science, go work with the churn team, see what we can find out, right? What can we do? And within 6 weeks, we made some modifications to what they were working on, built a machine learning model, and then we saved millions of dollars in 6 weeks, just by looking at it, okay? We did the same thing on a revenue assurance. We had a customer, everybody has it, you have leakage in your revenue, so you're billing services, and you're going like, hey, are we billing for everything? And I was sitting next to our CFO, because I'm working with him hand in hand and saying, where should I focus these high quality resources for data scientists? And we said, I have a customer of mine, a friend of mine that's a customer, we billed for him, or we stood up a service, but he's going like, I haven't received a bill yet, right? And we're going like, well, why don't we go look at, let's just build a model, is machine learning start, and then we went in predictive modeling and say, are we billing for everything? Millions of dollars that we found that we weren't billing for. And so it's starting there, and then you can use that to then accelerate to other stuff.
So you got the below the line, which is the operational cost savings, then you got above the line, which involves, if I understand it correctly, your churn is a function of your ability to analyze the data, and that drives revenue because you have lower churn. But I'm trying to understand your business, because I'm imagining just massive deals with hyperscalers.
Yeah.
But now you're talking about, churn in the weeds. So
well, it's also don't think of churn as if you have a hyperscaler and they churn. It's churn within their different, what they're picking and selecting. So they may say, hey, well, we're not getting what we need out of this area, and they'll churn off.
I see, okay.
So it's a subcomponent of churn.
Right.
Now where we're going now, and I think this is where you're hitting on, is around the front end of the engine. And this is where we're starting to get, and really using AI to say, how can we look at the sales funnel, the sales channel? How can we be more efficient? How can we predict where people are going to want more and new services from us or add-ons to us? That's where we're going now, right? We're just getting to that foundation where we can get there.
And how long you been at Zayo?
2 years.
And then did you bring in Snowflake?
Snowflake was chosen right before I got here. So
okay, why, and then what's that journey looked like?
Yeah, so I used Snowflake in my previous world.
Which was what kind of
I
business?
was at AT&T in the chief data group at AT&T.
Sure.
And it goes way back to 13, but we're a big Snowflake users.
Wow, 13, that's early days.
Oh, we started up.
The big data meme.
Well, yeah, we started up the big data group, myself and 4 others at AT&T as a startup business unit. And we started and grew that to end up being like 2,000 or 3,000 people over like 10 years. So I was part of that journey.
So you're familiar with Snowflake and the value?
And the value. And so here was my second day on the job. I went directly into the board meeting, and they said, well, what do you think? And I'm going like, okay, I could probably get fired the second day on the job. And I just said, here's the deal. It's not just about me coming in. I can tell you what to do. I've built this before, and I can build that. But it's also around a business transformation. You have to change the way you do business for inputs to go in the source systems to then build it, and then extend and build those foundational capabilities. I can build a Ferrari, but if you have crude oil going through the Ferrari, it's going to blow up. It's not going to work. You have to go extend that. And what I said about Snowflake, I go, here's the beauty around it, because I had a good experience with them, is I said, because we've had all these acquisitions, and we're likely going to have other acquisitions, what you do is you use the TM form model for your data structure, you use the ETOM SID form for how you line up the data, and then you say, if you ever go either to a merger or other people we've already acquired, hey, just put the data in that format, right? And then have it sitting on top of Snowflake, put it in a Snowflake environment, and then when day one comes around, or if we want to integrate, we can do it day one, bam. It makes it easy because it's agnostic, but it's also right there in the cloud so we can actually leverage. And that's where they've been a huge partner.
And it gives that unified experience across the data, whether that's...
All three hyperscalers, yeah. Same platform, same operational model. It makes a lot of sense from an operational efficiency perspective.
So you do that as part of your due diligence? Is that like you go into their data room and say, okay guys, fill this out and we can
that's what I said. I said,
I mean, that's awesome.
What I said to them is that if and when we ever have another acquisition, or we had just acquired some other companies, I said, this is how you do it. You come up with a common data model, you do that, and then you put it right here together. And day one, as soon as it flips, you can have standardized reporting off of common, defined, industry standard, protocols.
Yeah.
And data models.
So Phil, you were talking earlier about you're surprised how fast it was. In some ways, I'm not as surprised, only because you're not relying on the telcos to transform their fossilized stack. Your data. And I'm sure, like every company, their data is a mess. And so you can help,
siloed mess.
Yeah,
probably.
You can help clean that up. They don't have to say, well, we're going from closed RAN to open RAN. You don't have to worry about that hardware stuff. And so I wonder if you could just talk about the progress you've made in telco. Maybe you can name names, if you can, great, or just describe sort of the types of organizations, the use cases. What are they doing with Snowflake?
So I mentioned we moved into operations last year, network operations. So we've been working with network planning, network engineering, even working with call center, for instance. So when you think about network planning, their job is to get the most out of the assets that are being deployed. So we've done a few use cases with a couple of tier ones on understanding the capital expenditures and optimizing that with business intent. So when you're making an investment to upgrade the network, for instance, there's a business intent that needs to stay aligned, but that changes over time. Do you want to build more availability into your networks? Do you want to bring in revenue faster and go where there's more demand? So where you place that investment is critical. Those use cases we've been doing quite a bit of, which is really the business side of the network, right? Then from a call center management perspective, we've been doing some really interesting things. We've been working with Amdocs and as well with T-Mobile on a model where agents, for instance, as somebody's interacting with a chatbot, the information on network, service, billing, all of that is being integrated into the chatbot, so we're cutting down the time that person, that consumer, interacts with that chatbot, which is raising customer experience. So broad range of things across the board. We're also still very much working with clean rooms, and as well, we've been doing some real-time RAN visibility and optimization where you put towers. 2 years ago, I didn't think we'd be that far into it at this point.
Frank Slootman once said to me, I like you guys, you're not gotcha media. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, we're not gotcha media. At the same time, we are media, and we like to talk about fun things in the industry, so the war.
Can't wait to see where you go next, Dave.
Look out for this one. The war between Nadella and Benioff. So Nadella and Benioff are sniping at each other. Benioff calls Microsoft Copilot Clippy. Nadella says, you're not going to need SaaS in the future. You're just going to have agents talking to CRUD databases, so it's fun. But there's some truth in each. It's kind of interesting, so we've unpacked that. Where I'm going with this is, last summer, we saw two industry titans in the data world, Databricks and Snowflake, kind of challenge each other on things like governance, things like open table formats, and it created a lot of confusion in the industry. Snowflake open sourced Polaris, Databricks on stage, open source Unity.
Yep.
There really wasn't much code in the GitHub when they open sourced it, but it was still a shot across the bow. They bought Tabular, which created Iceberg, and it created a lot of confusion in the industry. My question, David, is how do you think about all this stuff? What are your thoughts on open table formats? It sounds great, but you got to govern it. What's your governance strategy? Can you paint a picture of how you're thinking about this whole issue?
On the governance side?
The whole open table formats, is it a good thing? Is it something you're leaning into? If so, how are you governing it? What's your overall strategy there?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you that I need to develop it more. That's the first thing. What we've really been focused on, and again, it's partnering with Snowflake, is how do we get that governance internally and operationally done and get that, that's what we've really been focused on. And now we're just getting on the back side of it and saying how can we take advantage of that. So I don't have a strong position on it. I've used Databricks in the past too, and Snowflake at the same time, so I don't have a strong position.
But it's not an issue of Snowflake v Databricks so much. It's more the philosophy, and let me ask it this way. Like, how concerned are you with lock-in? I ask executives this question all the time, and some say, oh, I'm concerned about lock-in. I'll just say, you know what, I don't care, I get value out of. So your choice would be, I'm going to stay in the Snowflake environment, and I'm going to use Horizon, and maybe I'll use Polaris for my my technical metadata.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use Horizon for my operational and business metadata.
Yeah.
And I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And I don't really care that it's closed. Everything's closed to some degree.
Okay,
so
I understand.
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that's better. So here's what we've done. One thing I've learned, talking about lock-in, and what I've seen around this and my experiences back at AT&T and otherwise, is one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen made is that your business rule and logic is baked into some core application, whether it be Snowflake, Databricks, whatever, or otherwise. So the decision that I made on that is I put that in all of our business logic rule in DBT labs. And it's not DBT itself. What I cared about is Python library. So I'm putting everything in Python libraries. So what the most nuanced and custom is my business rule and logic that I use to run my business. And so I contain that all in Python library. So if I want to switch, then applications, whether it's Snowflake switching out to other places or otherwise, I take all my core knowledge in and how I run my business, and I just take my Python libraries and reapply it someplace else. Because the way I do it is, I have source data coming in, I have standardized ingestion patterns. I have identified critical data elements, which are the top, we have 819 of them, that said if we focus on these things, we're going to run 95% of our business. We take that, combine it with our business logic and rules, and create what's called business-ready data sets, okay? But the rules are the secret sauce of how I bring all that stuff together.
So you're not moving the business logic from the app into DBT and or training it in or anything like that. It lives there. Right. Your applications access that through APIs?
Yeah, through APIs.
Interesting. And then how do you harmonize that data through DBT?
Well, yes, and what we do is we then build what's called business-ready data sets. So it's code that says, here's the source data, here's the critical data elements, here's how we apply our logic to those critical data elements, and then we publish the data in gold data sets. And then we consume the gold data sets off of data science tools. We use Tableau, we use Power BI, Data IQ, and we consume that, and that's what all of our business
Interesting.
use.
So, I'm sorry, I'm geeking out here, but so...
You're having a moment, we're going to let you have it.
So you chose to do that as opposed to, for instance, doing it through Salesforce with their data cloud, which you could have done.
Which we don't want to do.
Right, okay, and so that...
There's a reason why for that.
Yeah, explain that.
I was actually just going to ask.
So the reason is it goes back to the 49 acquisitions. 49 acquisitions, we had a single stack. We put everything from identification of a potential customer to billing to network to everything. So we literally customized everything. We had 66 open text fields that managed our business. Very bad.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay?
wow.
So we're
Playing with fire
unbundling all
there.
that.
Yeah,
we're unbundling all that, and we're saying we're implementing ServiceNow, Oracle Fusion, Network Manager. So we're decoupling all that stuff, shrinking down Salesforce to what it's really good at. And then for me, I'm looking at the analytic layer. So what I care about is not all the data elements, I care about the most important ones. So I'm really focused on the 819.
So you got metadata as well? Metadata, the business logic. What about the process knowledge? And have you looked at relational AI and maybe building a knowledge graph as part of all this?
Well, that's coming next. We have the capability to do the knowledge graph off of what these business-ready data sets. What these business-ready data sets is basically how we're running all of our technical and business together, and then how we're using it. So it's almost like the roadmap. We're also using profiling all of our applications through forgot our vendor on it, but we're having a profiling all the applications, pulling all that technical metadata in, and then also the business metadata associated with that, and defining those. When I call CDEs, that's the business metadata, right? But I also have all the technical metadata and lineage of how the data is passing through.
And that harmonization, let's say in theory, could occur through like a relational AI.
Yes.
And then you feed that up in the future to agents.
Right.
And now you've instead of having hard-coded business rules and business logic, you can actually create more malleable workflows that can change as the market conditions change.
Yeah, and that's also, Phil and I were just literally just talking about this on the cab ride over here, is we're at that peaking point where we're going to be looking with our strategic partners to say, we can't have everybody as being a strategic partner, we have to pick, right? Obviously Snowflake is one of ours. How do we take advantage of what they have built and what they have? Like, I'm not going to go build all that stuff. I need to leverage our partners for that, right? But again, I abstracted the core of our business out into those libraries so that I can apply it and use it and then scale it. And then if I need, because we don't know who's going to be the AI winners.
Right, but all of this is going to work better if it's all done inside Snowflake.
Yes.
And it's governed and it's
That's
secure. Right. But, to our earlier point, it's all inside Snowflake. So what's more important to you, that it all works and it's governed, or that it's open?
I would say it all works and it's governed.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very viable strategy, and it's one we think about all the time. It's an age-old industry debate. Like, do I buy best of breed, or do I buy, consolidated? And there's trade-offs of doing that. Thank you for indulging me in that.
Hey, it's fun to watch you learn.
But it's a real critical issue that every customer faces. How am I going to take advantage of this AI agentic future? And what's my architecture look like? How am I going to harmonize the data? How am I going to apply agents and trust them?
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, Dave, the questions that you were just asking there are the exact questions I bet a lot of your customers are asking and thinking about as they play together their strategy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no single answer.
Yeah.
Customers are going to have different architectures, different goals, transformation. They're going to be at different stages. We work very closely, for instance, with AT&T, it's public knowledge, on the common compute layer with Iceberg, right? We're a huge proponent of open. It's something that we spend a lot of time and energy making sure that we do have, at the right integration points, open capabilities for interoperability. And so for those customers who are looking for open and want the ability to standardize on that open architecture, bring in whoever they want, remove whoever they want, make it simple, that's okay. It's okay with us. It also gives us an opportunity, right, to solve for more issues that we otherwise wouldn't be able to if we can be inserted into an open architecture, now take advantage of that.
Well, and Snowflake did something that was very clever. They said, we're going to open source Polaris, which I call the technical metadata. Benoit will correct me, but that's at least my understanding. But the business and operational metadata stays inside of Snowflake. Snowflake could choose to extend that, because that's what Databricks did. Say, okay, we're going to open source Unity, which again was very lightweight in the GitHub as a sort of shot across the bow. Snowflake could do the same thing. They could open up, Horizon if it wanted to, but that sacrifices some of the quality, in my opinion, anyway, because it's wild, wild west of open source, and you're doing it yourself, and you're rolling your own. And those are really interesting and hard trade-offs for
I think
customers.
what's really interesting is when, who owns the metadata, right? And where that resides. That's the problem we're trying to solve now, which is, if for instance we own the metadata, Databricks, we want them to have visibility on it. I mean, we do collaborate, we really do.
Yeah, I know you do, yeah.
Exactly, and so the same thing applies in the other direction. So that's the one sticker right now that we really need to find a solution for, which is, how do we extend visibility and also extend metadata without having to completely be a part of that process? And I think over time, we'll continue to work together to make that happen, but I mean, we are extremely cooperative in that type of model where we've got multiple catalogs or we've got one catalog model, open architectures, specifically around things like Iceberg. We do collaborate and cooperate.
But what David's done, if I understand it, is you've chosen the DBT layer for that. Instead of just API-ifying the metrics, you're doing that with the process knowledge and the metadata.
Yeah, I wanted to have it abstracted, so then even though that we're making the hard calls, I want to abstract it so I have choices in the future if I need to, right? Because what I saw in my legacy telco world, people would hard code all those business logic rules inside 10 different systems.
Yeah.
And then you'd go like, well, where's the master? Well, how do we know? Well, how do we change it?
And they're fossilized.
And then you're fossilized.
But to Phil's point about who owns the metadata, you've decided that you own the metadata.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is awesome.
Smart.
It's
Yeah.
a great
Well,
strategy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because that gives you flexibility. You can't predict exactly what's going to happen in the market. It's really uncertain.
We want to be able to take advantage of, we don't know who's going to win in all this AI race game in the sense of all the nuances. We've made some strategic bets on a couple players, Snowflake being one of them and theCUBE being one of them, right? But the other ones we're going to let this play out and then see where it goes. And we want to try it out, but we have to have it for a reason. Right, and so this is, Phil and I talked about this like 3 times yesterday. It's about, if I'm not doing stuff to help enable the business and bring value back to business, through some of the things that saving money or cost efficiency, then I really kind of shouldn't be doing it. Like I shouldn't be doing that stuff. It's cool tech, but if it doesn't bring back
the
the
bright
value,
shiny thing is not necessarily the solution, nor is it a value add, nor does it make the world a better place, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot of different directions to go there.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like when you first met with the board. Yeah, okay, great, you got Snowflake. But let's start with the business and work back from there.
Yeah, here's all the other things we need to do right now.
It's great that we have it, because I knew as soon as I found that out, I knew I had the anchor. I know I had the anchor that's cloud-based data warehouse that has the flexibility, that's on the cutting edge of things, of where we're going. I knew I had that anchor, so I didn't have to worry about it. And so now I can work about everything else. And so that was very comforting for me coming in to know that and have that. And they've been great partners from the get-go.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I can see why this is a nice match made in heaven, and it gives you both strength and confidence when you're upselling out to the largest companies on earth, quite frankly.
Absolutely.
I have one final question for you, because you've both referenced navigating the future, things moving fast. This has been such a great conversation. When we're at Mobile World Congress next year, what do you hope to be able to say then that you can't say now? Phil, I'm going to start with you.
I think solving problems with respect to, and I don't want to take this away from David, but solving problems with respect to communication and multi-agent frameworks, right? I think the way agents communicate, the workflows and how, I think there's a lot that we could do there when you think about the complexity of a telecom environment. The integration aspect with legacy systems is not going to be easy.
No.
And so next year, I'm really hoping that we'll see multi-agent frameworks and more on that, but solving the critical problems in real world production scenarios where there has to be integration in multiple layers, systems, and I think that's what I'd like to see certainly next year.
Mine would probably be simply practical application.
Louder for the folks in the back.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I came from the business side, not the technical side. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I always go. And I'm just going, great around all the AI hype. And yes, I think it's cool. And yes, we're going to end up doing it. But let's take small steps now. Don't go for the big home run. Take steps. Get wins. Drive it out and extend. Get it out to the business side. Get them engaged and have democratized data systems out in the business creating ideas that a person like me doesn't think about. That's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see less hype and more practical application in real life examples of what it is.
I love that. That is a perfect note to end on, David, and hopefully everyone listens.
It's more about the ride than the destination, right?
Yeah, yep, it's totally true.
Definitely.
Thanks,
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you both very much. This has been awesome. And thank you, Dave. Lots of great questioning today to start us off here. I think this was our longest interview of the show so far.
I think so. That, Sri.
yeah. I guess we always start the day with a really interesting
that's right.
conversation, not to diminish any of our other interesting conversations. Anyway, I hope you all have enjoyed watching this wherever you might be. We're here in Barcelona, Spain, beginning of day 3 of Mobile World Congress. My name's Savannah Peterson. You're watching theCUBE, the leading source for enterprise tech news.